Mr. Acting Speaker. I may take the DA free time. Mr. Acting Speaker, we have a new Premier taking over the office of the old Premier, but he will only be in charge for about 18 months before he becomes leader of the opposition. I still have some advice for him so that he can try to avoid the disasters that afflicted his predecessor. He can start by overhauling the monitoring and support function because it is really quite useless. We saw this during the COVID-19 crisis, which serves as a stress test for this provincial government. I'm going to read from one of the slides that was presented to the OCPOL committee. Quote, "The delivery support unit has played an integral role in coordinating the work of the health infrastructure work stream. The role of the DSU was to manage the project and ensure that stakeholders convene and that progress on reports are delivered to Provincial Disaster Management Command Centre and Provincial Coronavirus Command Council on a weekly basis." Now, this DSU is so useless that it didn't pick up the massive wastage, inefficiency and corruption in what was done with all the extra money made available to fight COVID. We're talking about 2 billion rand that was supposed to speedily build new wards for the expected rush of COVID patients. Well, the ones at the Kopanong Hospital are still not finished and they don't know what to do with the structures that have been built for 300 million rand. The new George Macquarie Hospital wards are also not finished and they were never utilized. But the biggest scandal of all is the 500 million rand spent on the Anglo-Ashanti Hospital, which wasn't even owned by the province. And people here will recall that I asked in this House right at the beginning whether a legal opinion had been obtained about this, and I was told that it hadn't. So we are still trying to find out why the incomprehensible decision was taken to build 181 ICU beds in a faraway area. Our major hospitals don't have anywhere near that number of ICU beds. How would you even staff these beds in this mine hospital that is so difficult to get to? You know, it's not surprising at all that the SIU is investigating corruption by the contractors who did work on this hospital. I called it a white elephant hospital, then it became a ghost hospital, and now the province is walking away from it entirely. So, what's the use of the monitoring and valuation function in the Premier's office if it couldn't pick up this obvious disaster, which I raised repeatedly in this House as it unfolded? I'm sure the Honourable Premier does not want to be reminded how he didn't pick up the 431 million rand spent in so-called deep cleaning of empty schools. You know, it would have been nice if the Premier's office had picked it up to save him the embarrassment at the time. But this is what you get with an administration that is rotten from top to bottom. Much of this is because of two words that usually gets me cut off by someone who seems to have an off button on virtual meetings. I'm going to say the two words ready anyway, so just get your finger ready for the off button. These words always seem to trigger a mass uproar in the ruling party. These are the two words: cadre deployment. I haven't been cut off yet, so I'll say them again: cadre deployment. The Zondo Commission blamed cadre deployment for much of the non-performance and corruption in the state-owned enterprises. Judge Zondo has said that it is illegal and unconstitutional. Now, I'm not talking about limited political appointments in a head office, which the DA does according to the law and within limits. I'm talking about wholesale interference with board appointments and administration jobs. The former Premier defended cadre deployment, and so does the new Premier. I want to say to him today that we will never get things right in this province unless there's a wholesale policy change in this regard, as well as a thorough clean-out of political appointments who are crooks or can't do the jobs. There is good news, and that is that in just over 18 months' time, there will be a new provincial government that will do this. Thank you.